Hello, hello everyone. I apologize for the 5 minutes of delay. Right at the moment I clicked go live, my internet went off and I was like, GTPL, HU GTPL. But yeah, so I hope I'm audible. Hello, hello. Can I get a comment or something because everything is on 4G right now, so I have no idea whether this is working or not. So if someone could leave me a comment or something, I'd be very grateful. How are things with you guys anyway of late? Because with us, it's like a lot of post festival drama going on around where people have brought all sorts of contagions from everywhere, if you catch my drift. Anyway, thank you so much, Sakshi. Great. So I'll just go into it, which is learning techniques. So I went to school like most of you, I'm guessing. And in school, we are taught a syllabus. What they don't teach us is we all have a very specific learning style. And I discovered that this is a thing, having a learning style. Via what do you care what other people think? A book by Richard Feynman, wherein he specifically talks about using what is one of the techniques that I now use. Oh, by the way, hello to everyone. Thank you, Helen, for the audible feedback, and hello to LinkedIn user. Hello to Shiva. Unfortunately, some of you who have your privacy settings up on an extreme high, your name won't be visible. So all I will see here in my broadcast studio will be LinkedIn user. I hope you don't mind. I'm guessing that is Rashmi, but there you go. Anyway, coming back to what I was talking about with regards to learning techniques. So every one of us has a learning technique. Some of you would learn well from reading. Some of you would learn well from writing. Some of you would learn well from listening. And some of you, like me, need like physical movements to learn. So I am one of those learners. I need motion, I need movement to learn. I had no idea that this is a quirk that I had, which is why I used to struggle a little bit with certain subjects like history, civics, and geography. Ironically, that is one of the jobs that I do these days. Just because I didn't really understand that my style of learning doesn't really matches with the style that they teach in the school, I didn't really used to like these subjects. But once I discovered that this is the problem, this is the issue, which is the learning technique that I use technically based on what I was taught in school wasn't working for me. So that is the first thing that you have to figure out. The first thing you have to figure out is figure out what works for you. It's a wee bit difficult, I know, given how long we've learn things a certain way. But once you do, trust me, it's going to be amazing. No, the moment you understood what is your learning style, that's when you start exploring what learning techniques work for you, right? So for me, as I mentioned in the text block, the techniques that work for me are Feynman technique and the Pomodoro technique. So Feynman technique is a very simple technique, and those of you who know about the Vedic system that went on in India years ago, right, where we used to send our kids to the ashrams, and that's where they used to learn from experience, and they used to be taught using very simple terms, using very basic words and very basic concepts, and then they were made to realize how that is actually a very complicated, complex thing. So that is essentially what the Feynman technique is. Hold on, let me share my screen. uh, there you go. Yeah, so this is the Feynman technique. The Feynman technique, in a sense, is first of all, you need to decide what it is that you want to learn, right? So it could be quantum physics, it could be astronomy, it could be a language, and I'm not even kidding. Okay, my Japanese language learning journey became so much simpler after I applied the Feynman technique, because See, I use Hindi, Gujarati, English as my primary languages when I was learning Japanese. And those languages are very root word centric, right? They're etymological in nature, whereas languages like Japanese, Chinese, they are idiomatric. They rely on symbolism more than on root words. So once you figure it out, once you understand that okay, this language doesn't have root words, this language actually has symbols, and this is how they think, and this is what the symbolism is. uh, that is in a sense what Feynman technique involves. You have to look at something like an idiot, you have to look at something like a dummy, right? You have to become a dummy. So even when you understand very complicated principles of science, mathematics, and language learning, one key factor remains is the basics are the basics. The basics will always be simple. And you start getting confused with the basics, you're going to mess up everything that comes after, because confusion grows. It never solves itself in the middle unless and until you understand each step. You won't be able to move forward. So that is why you have to become a dummy. You have to become an absolute dummy. And what becoming a dummy involves is asking questions till the point of clarity, So this is where us being born on the internet or us existing on the internet comes with a massive, massive advantage, right? Because we have access to so many communities. Go on Discord. Discord has groups for almost everything. So I'm part of a Japanese language learning group, I'm part of a German language learning group, and I'm part of a quantum physics group. And I am not kidding, this is where experts of the industry who own the Discord group, you have to sign up to their Patreon and stuff like that, but it's $5. Okay, that's not a big amount. They will simplify the concept to its bare bones. And Eric Wein, no, not Eric Weinstein. One of the two Weinsteins, these are two brothers. One is an epidemiologist, and one is into quantum mechanics and all of that. The quantum mechanic one, he has an entire community on Reddit, right? And there, people are literally simplifying concepts using basic doodles that they make on Notes app and whatnot. So this is where becoming a dummy is very easy on the internet. You go on the internet and you look for these communities. Most of them are free, right? Because these days people are using free resources as lead magnets to their books and websites and whatnot. So be careful and smart about which places you go to, but go to these places, explore, and ask proper questions. Don't ask them how you're doing, where you're from, etc., etc. Be very specific with your questions. Okay, this is what I didn't get. Can you explain it to me in layman's terms, desi bhasha or simple terminology, whatever works for you. And then comes the next step, which is you understand the concept. Now, this is a very logical point. If you understand something, you can explain it very simply. See, you have to use all that complicated terminology to hide the fact that you don't understand something. If you understand something for real, you'll be able to explain it using the simplest possible language, right? Because when passion kind of takes the front door, vocabulary will always take the back door. Vocabulary is a tool that people use sort of to hide, to hide certain things about gaps in their knowledge. And this is not me telling this, okay? I'll link all the resources which you can refer to with regards to the same. But yeah, if you understand the concept, this is how you can know, right? You're planning to learn something, and you have become the dummy. You have in a sense kind of started asking questions and filling the gaps in your knowledge, and you feel that you have got a grasp of whatever it is that you were learning. Now, this is how you check it. You try to explain it. You don't have to go and explain it to somebody. Okay, you have to explain it to yourself or try to explain it to some of your friends. If you have nerd friends, I have nerd friends, right? I have friends who are really, really supportive of my weird experiments with regards to learning things and whatnot. So if you have friends like that, good for you. Or you can find online communities. Again, be careful when you explore these communities, but like don't be afraid. Give it a try. It's not that hard. It's not as bad as they say out there. The internet. So you've understood the concept as much as you can, and you now have to attempt to simply explain it. If you cannot simply explain it, it means somewhere on step two, you still have stuff to learn, right? So you have a little bit of becoming dummy still left in you. So you have to go back and try to understand or grasp that concept, and then you have to come back to step three, which is again try to explain the thing in simple language. So let me see whether some comment has come in. Okay, no, we don't have any comments. So now we can move to the next technique, which is the Pomodoro technique. So not to go into the history of it, but basically Pomodoro is like a word for tomato, right? And tomato shaped timer. So maybe when the technique was invented, the timers used to look like tomatoes, right? Nowadays, of course, we have all sorts of timers available in the market. But yeah, when the technique was invented, and the technique originates from Italy, uh, it is when you first of all remove distractions. Okay, now I know how difficult that is. As a millennial myself, with a phone and then with a tablet and with a laptop and with friends and with cool things to do out there, removing distractions is so difficult. I know, like, trust me, I know. But you're trying to acquire a skill, and skill acquisition could either be because of passion or it could be because of profession. So now if it is because of profession, you have no option, right? You have to acquire that skill. So here is where you have to rely on self-discipline. I mean, I know how hard that is and how boring that is. Okay, I know. But you have to, okay, you have to remove distractions. And if it is hard for you, it was hard for me. You could use apps. So I have a screen time lock on my phone. The moment it goes above 30 minutes, my phone locks. I cannot use my phone, even if I have to call someone. Okay. And I know it is extreme and it is very bad for business, because sometimes I am extremely unavailable on calls because my phone is locked. But these are choices you have to make. You can make those choices on your own. I am not going to put my philosophy there on you, but you have to remove your distractions one way or the other. Second thing you have to do is you have to understand that we tend to get distracted as human beings. It is very hard to focus on certain things for longer durations of time, and it is not your fault. It is just how our brain is wired, it is just how our brain is built, right? And see, the Homo sapien evolution chain, I hope you believe in evolution. But yeah, the Homo sapien evolution chain happened very quickly compared to all the other species that exist. So our brains have not really, kind of comprehended progress, evolutionary progress, as quickly as our social and technological cultures have. So what has happened is we are still wired on that hunter-gatherer logic. So that is why we get distracted, because distractions were meant as a survival tactic, right? Like you are hunting something, and if you were 100% focused on the hunt, something can come and hunt you as well, right? So that is where it's not your fault if you get distracted easily. But now that you recognize that you do, you have to take steps to kind of combat that. So you have to remove distractions, and then you have to divide your study sessions. Now here is also where you will have to use a lot of self-analysis. Now every one of us has like a time period in which we are productive. And I don't mean from 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. I mean 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. So ideally the Pomodoro technique works for 25 minutes. But my time zone, the time in which I can absolutely focus on things is 40 minutes. That is my limit. Okay. So I divide my Pomodoro sessions into 40-minute gaps. And that is what you have to decide for yourself. Like, what is the time zone in which you can absolutely concentrate on something without having distractions kind of come and get in your way. And once you have decided on that time limit, now you start breaking your study sessions or your work sessions. And this is, again, you can use Pomodoro technique even while you're working. So if you are a writer, if you are an illustrator, or basically if you are in a profession where you work alone most of the time, this is where the Pomodoro technique is golden, because you have no distractions. You have a specific amount of time in which you are doing something every day for a long period of time, such that now it has become routine. So, like, your body also kind of gets in that zone, the moment the time comes. So, you have decided on that duration, and now you have to decide on how many sessions you want. So me personally, I do 5 40-minute sessions each day with 10 minutes of break in the middle. Now these breaks are not optional, these breaks are sort of compulsory, because if you don't take breaks or gaps between two sessions, what happens is you stand the risk of getting bored. And if you get bored, uh, automatically your comprehension and your productivity goes down. And we don't want that, right? We don't want that at all for ourselves. So take a break. And when you are taking that break, immediately leave the place where you were studying, right? So it could be your workroom, it could be your bed, it could be whatever it is, or wherever it is you're working. Stand up and leave that environment. So personally, I've got a garden, I've got a drawing room, as a painting room, like not the drawing room of the house, a painting room. This is what I'll do in the 10 minutes that I have. I will get up, I will go to the kitchen, I'll go to the garden, I'll go to the place where I generally paint. I will physically leave the space where I was studying. And what happens here is, this is where, there's you get. And I have Anna Maria, who is going to tell us how creativity and divergent thinking helps you kind of expand your horizons very soon. She's going to do a live with us about the very same topic, which is when we force our mind to go into situations like writing with your left hand, or painting something, or making patterns with your fingers. Your brain activates in places that it generally doesn't. And what that does is it improves your brain function. If you have a brain that works very quickly, you will experience productivity boosts. Trust me, like, this is all from personal experience. You will experience productivity boosts that will be so good for your learning journeys. So you have to figure out what time works for you, and you have to divide your study sessions into multiple bits where you take breaks, wherein you escape that environment no matter what, right? And then you have to make notes. You have to make notes because you have to refer to these notes. If you don't refer to these notes, the entire study session was technically pointless, because you won't have anything that you could revise with the next day, right? And for that, I have a recommendation. It's the Anki app, Anki. On Anki, you can develop decks, okay? And Anki is free in India. In the United States, it's a paid app, but in India, it's free. So you could check Anki out. And on that, you can prepare decks of notes. Okay, you could just take photographs of notes you have in your paper. And if you are like me and you take digital notes, you could just export your notes from the Notes app to the Anki app. And then when you sit down in the next session for the next day, you revise your notes to see what you recall. Because if you study everything and you don't really recall, that's pointless, right? You wasted 40 minutes on nothing. So I used Anki to memorize 4,000 kanji, and you'd expect that process to be kind of torturous, but it was so much fun. So you make notes and you revise these notes before the next session begins. And a recommendation for app would be Anki. And this is the important bit. You have to have intention to learn, right? If you don't have intention to learn, I mean, at the end of the day, if the intention isn't really clear, right? Or what's the point? What's the point to learning in the first place? So yeah, I'm done. I am done telling you my techniques or the two learning techniques that work for me, which is Feynman technique, understand things very easily and very quickly. And second is Pomodoro technique, which is practice everything you learn. So do we have any questions? Yeah, do we have any questions? I don't think we do. So I'm going to end the live session, I suppose, because we don't seem to have any questions. See, this is it. You should ask questions, you know, whenever possible. And again, that's not because it's my live session or something. When someone is offering the options to ask questions and stuff like that, always clarify doubts, because I know there is this unfortunate trend where we are belittled for asking doubts, and you need to get over that. Okay, I have asked such stupid doubts in my life. I was called boiler in college, okay, because boilers make a lot of noise. And I used to make a lot of noise in college going, sir, doubt, you know, because at the end of the day, whether or not you've paid for education, education is a privilege, right? Some of us that have had education we're so flippin' privileged. We don't even realize how certain people struggle to get education, not just in school, but even on the internet. So, yeah. Oh, hello, Osama. Yeah, it's been going really well, and I'm waiting for some questions, but apparently no one is asking questions. So I'm salty about that. Anyway, yeah, I hope everything's well with you as well. So coming to what I was saying, always ask questions. That is one learning technique that you should also learn, which is ask questions about literally everything, because if you don't ask questions, you know, you won't get clarity, and the learning process requires clarity. So yeah, I think I'm going to end the live session now, because otherwise I'll keep telling you things about my life, and I don't like that. I don't like to put personal stories out there. So yeah, I hope you give the Feynman technique and the Pomodoro technique a try, and see you in the next one. Up next we have Anna Maria. We are working on time, like working on finding a common time, because she lives in another continent and I live in another continent, and we have like 5.5 hours between us. So yeah. Oh, what would you like me to say, sir? Because I kind of completed the entire thing. Like I showed the techniques, and now I'm waiting on anyone having any doubts or something like that. And basically, I'm running like a horse because my battery is at 20%. And again, that's the biggest complaint you technically have with Apple products. They run out of battery the moment you put personal hotspots on. So yeah, if there are no doubts, I think I'll be ending the live session now. For any doubts to any person who sees this video once it is not live, my PMs are open only for legitimate queries and questions, not for how are you, how is it going, where are you from. Like, I don't answer personal questions. That's a line I've drawn on all social media platforms as well as on YouTube. So yeah, if you have any doubts regarding learning techniques or what platforms you could use, again, the platforms I use are Anki, Reddit, and Discord. Okay, so these are the three places that I frequent, and YouTube, of course, YouTube, the Library of Alexandria of the 21st century. But yeah, these are the places I use, and I'm very careful about the people I learn from, because online we don't really have confirmation about the intention of the person that we're communicating with. So yeah, we have no doubts. Yeah, this is the last time. We have no doubts. So I'm going to end the live session. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I know this time was okay. Hold on. So could you explain the dummy point once again? I can definitely explain the dummy point once again. Dummy is a word that unfortunately has become derogatory in our time, but it isn't derogatory in any way, shape, or form. Okay, if you have to learn something, my school teacher taught me this. He's like, I think he learned it from some philosophy. I don't know. He said, be like a half empty cup of tea. If your teacup, if your learning intention, if your teacup is full of tea, if somebody pours extra tea over it, the tea is going to spill out. You don't want that. You want your teacup to be half filled with tea. Have little knowledge, but no arrogance. So that when somebody pours tea, when somebody pours additional information over it, you have place to accept it. Right? So that is what becoming a dummy is. Don't have arrogance that I know this topic or I understand this topic. Like, why are you explaining it to me? Like, uh, this is why children are so good at learning things. Children are so good at learning things because things are taught to them in a simpler language. We are not going to talk to kids in a very complex, complicated language, which is why they pick up concepts quickly. So that is what becoming a dummy is. Becoming a dummy is, don't be arrogant, don't have attitude about age, qualifications, abilities, any of this. Just have this intention in your head. I want to learn, I want to be better. And so I have to take lessons from this other person who is planning to or who is willing to teach me. And you become a receptacle of all the information that they give you, like the empty teacup, right? Or the half empty teacup. And when they try to correct you, when they say something you're doing is wrong, you have to not uh, get angry at that. You have to recognize that they know more than you, and so you continue in that direction. So that is what becoming a dummy is. You essentially become a kid. Okay, remember how we used to be when we were kids in school, when we used to learn languages, when we used to learn science, or when we used to learn all these different things, right? It was so simple to learn as kids. uh, is that a trigger for question? uh, I don't really know what that means, so can you clarify the question a bit for me? So yeah, that is what becoming a dummy is. You become a kid when you're learning. You become not very adulty, if that word makes sense, because we all have this. I speak 10 languages. Like, how dare you say that my English has a mistake? Like, no, you can't really have that attitude and learn. So that is what becoming a dummy is. Become a kid and ask simple questions. Like, do you remember when we used to ask our teachers the most ridiculous questions, like why is the apple red, and why do we need to write that word like that? I mean, I used to do that. So yeah, do that as adults as well. People might laugh at you. Okay, like, I had so many people laugh at me in my life. uh, you might call it bullying, but I choose to not call it that because branding. But anyway, don't let other people's perception of your learning journey affect your learning journey as a whole. So become a kid and try to learn like a kid, and go to people who are not condescending jerks when you are planning to learn. Because if you go to people who dissuade you or who say no when you ask doubts, that is going to affect you. So yeah, that is, I hope that point is clear to you by now, Helen. So can I get some clarity on the question? Is that trigger for question? This question, can I get a little bit of clarity for that? Because I didn't really get the question. Yeah. So we'll have to wait for the clarification. This is where I really love live sessions, specifically live sessions that are happening. One on, like, single person is just sitting and doing the live session. There's so many awkward silences. Oh yeah, you're welcome, Helen. So yeah, see what I did there just a little bit while ago. Be like, okay, I didn't get the question, sir. Uh, so that is what I mean when I mean become a dummy. Because I don't know or I don't understand is something we don't like to say as adults. But if we don't say that, we won't get clarity. Okay, your own ice break. Okay. Um, my icebreaker moment was, as I said, the moment that made me try techniques in the first place was the Feynman technique, so to speak. So I was reading Dr. Richard Feynman's "What Do You Care What Other People Think" book, and this is around 2008 or 9, when I was really, really struggling with learning Japanese because I lived in a state and a city where Japanese tutors were not available. And in 2007, Gujarat, we didn't have very high speed internet connections, so I could like contact any tutors abroad, and I didn't have money also. So even if I could contact tutors, I couldn't really learn or pay them to learn. So I was really, really struggling with learning Japanese, and I apologize. I know how how kind of generic and stereotypical what I'm about to say next is. I really, really, really wanted to watch Naruto, and Naruto was only available in Japanese without subtitles. So, um, unfortunately, I was struggling, and I wanted to learn Japanese, but I didn't have any resources to learn Japanese. So while reading that book, what do I care what other people think? Dr. Feynman mentions how he was invited to give a lecture in Japan, and he decided to give his entire speech in Japanese. And I was like, okay, you might be good at physics, but language learning and physics are two entire different hemispheres in the brain. Like, how did he do it? And that is where he mentions how Japanese is ideographic and English is etymological. And I was like, what does these words, what do these words mean? And I looked it up in the dictionary, and I was like, oh my God, this is why I'm struggling with Japanese. I'm learning Japanese as if I was learning English. So that was my icebreaker moment. That was the moment I realized that the way I learned was wrong. And I need to try this different technique that this Nobel Prize winning physicist kind of came up with. So, yeah, I hope that answer was enough. Thank you so much for the question. Coming to the next question, which is it possible to share some more readings on Feynman technique, please? Okay, so I have a course on an academy for Feynman technique. Let me look it up. I have done an entire course. It's free. Everything I have put out on an academy is free. I left an academy because they wanted to make my profile paid, and I was like, hell no, we don't do paid education. So you could check out my course on an academy on the Feynman technique. It is entirely free. Okay. If they ask you for money to access that course, like, contact me, I'll scream at some people. But yeah, hold on, let me show it to you so you could see it. hold on, share. There you go. So this is the course. See, as you can see, that is me, and this is the course I have created, and I have given examples. Okay, I have given examples of Bayes' theorem to calculate conditional probability, and I wish I knew how to do Bayes' theorem properly in school, because I got 99 marks in maths in my 12th boards, and the 1 mark I lost was in this. And if I had known Feynman technique at that point in time, I would have got like a full on 100 on 100. But yeah, no point crying over split milk, Then spilt milk. Then I have also given you an example of how I used Feynman technique to learn Japanese. I've also given you an example in quantum electrodynamic theory, which is like a very highbrow, very like big, tiny phenomena, so to speak. And when I started accessing the books in the first place, I was like, oh my God, there is no way I'll be able to learn this. And then I tried to Feynman it, and oh my God, it's not that complicated, okay? And I don't get why certain things get this bad rap, in the sense that, uh, oh my God, seriously, people don't do this. You do know that these comments are in the public comment sphere, right? When you make comments like these, I'm not going to post your comment out there, because this is creepy behavior. Don't do this. Don't do this to people. People, like, it's not just don't do this to women. Don't do this to people. Coming back to what Vaibhav had asked, I will send you a link of the course, right? Vaibhav Pandya, if we are connected on LinkedIn. If we are not, send me a connection request. I'll give you the link there itself. And yeah, as far as Feynman technique goes, see, you don't really need to look up a lot of techniques, a lot of books about what the technique is about. Only thing you have to do is you have to change the way you learn, right? So our textbooks use very complicated language when they try to explain things to us, specifically academic textbooks. So what you could do is, if you are trying to learn something, instead of going to the textbook first, find some YouTube channel which has credibility and speaks in a language that you like to learn in, and understand the concept, and then go to the textbook. So the concept will make much more sense to you. Okay, so try it out. And there are a lot of tutorials online about the Feynman technique. If you don't want to check out my Unacademy course as well, you could just go through those, and that would be awesome. So any more doubts, let me know, or we'll wrap this up. As far as the other comment that has come in, I'm not going to address it, even if I have. Like, don't do this. Don't do this. This is very bad behavior. I don't know why you guys ask questions like this to people online or in real world. So yeah. Any other questions? No? I think no. I think we've taken this as far as we can. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really glad that you guys joined me, even if the time was very weird and awkward and whatnot. Okay, I look forward to seeing your connection request, Vaibhav. Thank you so much for the question. And I'll definitely, I'll definitely link the resources that I know, which would help you. Because see, online, as I said, if you're careful, you can learn. I learned Japanese pura for free online. Okay, this is just, it's not that hard. So if you know the right places to go to online, you can learn everything properly, right? So I think I will end this session now. And thank you so much for joining me, guys, girls, whatever gender you prescribe to. I'm not really familiar with all the pronouns in the market yet, but yeah, I'm working on it. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll have Anna Maria come joining us soon with creativity, divergent thinking, and she's just amazing. Okay, like, watching her brain work is one of the most phenomenal things I have experienced in my entire lives. And I experienced a moment of creative block a while back, and she made me do some exercises, and boom, creativity exploded. So, okay, Helen, I will share the useful links on LinkedIn as well. See, the thing is, LinkedIn kind of has this very bad habit of suppressing links from external sources. So, I'll share the links. Finding the links on my profile will be your job, because if I use third-party links, they'll suppress the post. So you won't see the post in your feed. Yeah. So I'll share the links for sure. And yeah, coming to the closing remarks, which I've been attempting to make for a while, but I keep getting distracted. So yeah, we'll have Anna Maria on soon, and I'm in talks with Mithali Raval as well, Flaky Spirits on Instagram, uh, who's going to come soon as well, where we are both going to talk about, she is going to talk about writing with emotions. I can't do that, because when I try to write with emotions, it comes out as this snarky, sarcastic babble, which I think nobody wants to read. But Mithali does it so well. Like, she writes from a place of emotion. You can't help yourself from kind of replying to what she's read, or what she's written, or what she's shared, or what she's whistled. And yes, she whistles entire songs. So yeah, we have Anna Maria and Mithali Raval coming soon. We are working on the dates. So that is the cue for LinkedIn Lives. I'm going to end the broadcast now. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to share the links on LinkedIn. See you soon. Bye-bye.